Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You are tuned in to the Vitamin D with Dawn Dai podcast, and I am your host, Dawn Dai, here to get you excited about your life so that you can live life on purpose and for a purpose. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. Vitamin D, it's a pun of my name. My name is Dawn, and you get vitamin D from the sun, so I'm here to shed light into your life. And I do this with inspirational insights and conversations with celebrities and everyday people like you and me. Because if you want to be better and you want to do better, then you're going to have to be able to see better. So join me on this journey of living our best lives and understanding and realizing how you are your greatest asset.
Get your vitamin D right here with me and get excited about your life.
Yes. I am so grateful to say Vitamin D is Studio E. Well, let me just say it again. Vitamin D in Studio E. For a minute there, it was, I'm in the closet. I'm coming to you from my closet. And you know, that's why they say gratitude is everything. The more grateful we are, the more things we have to be grateful for. So then it becomes like, what are you grateful for? I've been hearing this here lately. A friend of mine and then FM Dial listener, now friend, has said basically, allow some time or pretty much allow the grass to grow beneath your feet. And I feel like when we start to see things that come as a reminder, it's telling us something. Sometimes just to slow down and listen, slow down and look around, slow down to just be. And that's when you realize that gratitude, because there were days that I prayed for a day such as this. And I feel like sometimes, we can get a little discouraged because at the top of one mountain is the bottom of the next. And if we don't walk into gratitude, we get so caught up in saying, oh, it's always something. You're trying to grow, right? How can we expect to be more than we are right now without stretching and growing and exercising muscles? How can we expect to be more right now if we aren't taking a chance, if we aren't walking in our authentic self? How? Is it some type of delusion we have? And then it's this thing where we get frustrated and we get disappointed. But you ask God to grow. You ask to be more than what you are right now. You ask for a transformation. So how can you expect to be jumping into a new thing while you still stuck in the old thing? But see, what it's going to require you to do is to have a bit of vulnerability. And basically that's you giving yourself grace. And what do I always say? Grace is nothing but space. And in that space, you're allowing yourself to move. You're allowing yourself to see yourself from different angles, to probably take a glimpse of the past, but you ain't got to turn your head all the way back and get caught up in the past. And when I think of this and when I say this and seeing ourselves, well, it comes to that damn vulnerability. I've been talking about how there's a vulnerability is our greatest source of power. And an old friend years ago tried to tell me about this woman. Her name is Brené Brown. And she talks all about vulnerability and how vulnerability is our means of connection. In fact, if you got YouTube, which everybody got YouTube, just go on YouTube real quick and check out some of her recordings. She has a popular TED Talk where she's specifically talking about vulnerability, specifically talking about the importance of connecting, specifically talking about why it's important to connect to you. So then it comes back to, if you are working to be and to do better with yourself, when have you checked in on you? And like I just started it out, that comes from allowing the grass to grow beneath your feet. It's allowing you to see yourself. I'm not going to even hold you. I have been talking about vulnerability since forever. I said I want to lean into it. I want to exercise it. I want to work it because I realize these dreams that I have that are just mind-blowing. They came to me, curated for me because of who I am. But if we get so caught up in looking at the next person and comparing ourselves to another thing, we can't allow ourselves to be. So then it becomes, what's the trickery here? It don't make sense. But it's something about walking in your authenticity. It's something about making room for yourself that allows you to grow, allows you to recognize that the top of this mountain is the bottom of the next, but not because it's always something. It's because you keep on going. And you can't fail if you don't quit, right? Because if you fall down 7 times, you're going to get up 8. And if you can look up, you can get up. And don't get distracted because your location is not your destination. See, what happened is that when you got over that next thing and you saw that you were at the bottom of the mountain, of the next mountain you want to take, you looking around and saying, this is it. Where you are right now is not an indication of where you're going to be. It's letting you know what your starting point is. I'm saying this to you as I'm saying this to myself. And even going back to what we talk about vulnerability, I realized that in order to stretch and to grow, that space is required for us to really take in who we are, really walk in our authority, really say that I'm going to do me. That damn Dawn Dai. And I got up this morning. I went on my jog. It felt so good. I did my 40 minutes. And I had a chance to really meditate. And a lot of this came to me. I was just thinking about all the quotes that I had been coming across, whether it be from Joel Osteen, whether it's something I heard like a Peloton instructor had told me, and whether it's things that just came up in my spirit. And as I'm on my jog in my neighborhood, I'm reminded of a friend, Dr. Renee Matthews. She told me that when she was working out via her Peloton app, that one of the instructors said, don't just practice what you preach what you practice. And I felt that down in my spirits. I say that because I'm saying all day how I want you to show up for yourself. I'm saying all day how important gratitude is. I'm saying all day is that you can't fail if you don't quit. I'm saying that if you want to be exceedingly and beyond, if you want to be something that you've never been, well, you're going to have to do some things that you've never done. I say that to you as I say that to me. And I think about it because something that, as we all are, what do they say? A work in progress, how we are all growing. Something that I've always cared so heavily. And I don't know why. Again, we just making room because we all got something, right? Something that I've always held on to for so much is the fact that I like to indulge in cannabis. Like, why is that a big thing? Especially when we come into a day and age where it's legal, right? And as I'm reflecting on that more, I just had a conversation with my sister yesterday. I think everything is important in moderation, but my whole apprehension about it or why I battle it is because I'm always thinking, well, how does it affect the brand? Is it going to shut some doors? But if I'm seeking to build my brand to be more exceedingly and abundantly, that's going to require me to be me. Now, by no means am I encouraging and saying everybody does this, but everything is everything in moderation. Right? And when I can talk to a friend who is dealing with an ailing mother, I was apprehensive because I don't want to speak negativity, but my friend is taking care of her mother. I actually have 2 friends who are dealing with their parents, dealing with Alzheimer's and dementia. My friend is at a point where she can't even sleep at night. And she's saying different cannabis products that she's indulging just so that she can go to sleep, just so that she can have a peace. And it's like, when we're going after our dreams, when we're going after be more, one, you do have to be focused. You do have to be diligent. And you do have to do the things that work for you. And if we are consistently operating in shame of thinking of things that everything we can't, well, we're not making room for everything that we can be. And it's like, Dawn, if you really step it into this, you cannot be concerned with that. You have to walk in your authenticity. And it comes with a lot of truth. It comes without having any restrictions. In fact, a few episodes ago, I was sharing how a gentleman that, I don't know what it was, we must have been energetically connected, where I kept running into him, whether we were at the grocery store, and then lo and behold, I saw him in the neighborhood. And it would be random parts. I mean, down to like miles away from my house to right around the corner from my house. And we started connecting because we were wearing the same sneakers. Now, this is a free endorsement, 𝘲𝘓, and I'm only sharing this because I was jogging this morning. So there's a sneaker 𝘲𝘓, and they call them the granddaddy shoes or daddy shoes because they're so thick, but they got a style with them, especially, with the style now. Everybody got, the clunky shoes or whatever, thick shoes, tall shoes, platform shoes, whatever you want to call it is good for your legs and your knees. So if you are a service worker or somebody that works a lot on their feet, perhaps you can look into 𝘲𝘓. But I say all that to say you don't often, or at least at the time, I wasn't seeing many people with the shoes. Now, the popularity of the shoe has definitely changed as the word has gotten out. But, I began to tell him about my aspirations, and I feel as though a lot of people are amazed and blown away when I say I'm going to be bigger than Oprah. And I don't say that because out of disrespect, like, oh, well, it's me. A part of it, like, I'm speaking that confidence, but if you are expecting to be exceedingly and beyond, you got to think about what that top thing is, and then how can you go beyond that? That's where the magic happens. If we step into a space where it's always comfortable of what we know, well, then it goes back. How can we grow? Are you ready to catch it? And so he was like, whoa, that's a big feat. And I'm like, absolutely. And he said, you know what? You are going to have to move like you have earplugs on and blinders on. No different than from that of a horse in a race. So that you can focus on your lane, because at the end of the day, you are going to have things that come into your vision that try to distract you. You are going to have things and people on the sidelines that are trying to talk in your ear, but you got to realize it's your vision, your dream for a reason. And going back to where I started from, rather than thinking about how I'm about to be placed in a box by ultimately being in my truth, doing what I'm meant to do, because everything that I wanted to do, God instilled in me just the same as you, with everything that you are, so that you can still be used as an instrument. And whether you want to say God, whatever you believe, because at the end of the day, I do feel that as though we are all gods. And there's the ability and the power of God in each and every one of us for us to create, because we were made by a creator. I'm just saying, but we're not going to go on that tangent. The tangent, what I'm going on is that everything that we are and want to become, well, God knew that, or the energy or the world or however it got contrived, knew that when we were being pieced together. It reminds me of this quote from Joel Osteen. I was listening to this podcast, and it was titled something like Your Destiny. I meant to write that note down, but I didn't. But what I did write, and I did post on my social media handles accounts at Dawn Dai Speaks, it says, God calls you what you are before you become it. People call you what you are after it happens. God calls you what you are before it happens. And if we can just revert to that as just the mind of a child, we had these big dreams, these aspirations, and no, we weren't there yet, but it didn't stop us from dreaming. So why is it that when we get older, we start to lose the vision of the dream? Huh? And I want to be clear when I say vision. I didn't say what you see. I'm saying vision, because vision is beyond sight. You don't have to have sight in order to have vision. I'm just saying, if you're ready to catch it, because I know I'm going off, you got to catch it because it's hot, okay? But see, when we get so caught up in thinking with somebody else or being concerned with whatever somebody else is thinking, well, we are allowing our vision to get distorted. Now, when does it happen where it affects you in your life and it affects you in your capabilities of doing something? These are different things that I want to talk to you about, because as you are being created to do whatever amazing thing it is to do, don't get caught up in your circumstances. Yes, you just got over something, but remember, you're at the top of one mountain, but the bottom of the next, because you asked God to grow. Well, when you ask God to grow, sometimes it will rain, and sometimes those rain becomes into tears. And sometimes when you think about it, it's a seed that's planted in the ground that's going to require you to stretch. And I'm really understanding now how success isn't necessarily lateral. Or is it success is lateral? What I'm trying to say is, it's not always an upward trajectory when we talk about success. And I think about that similar to a tree and roots. We don't get caught up in just thinking that, oh, if the tree is tall enough, then that's the strength of it. It's all about how deep the roots are. No different than when they talked about the damn iceberg. Oh, it was a small tip, but how deep did it go? How deep did your faith go? How deep is your seed planted? And oftentimes we get caught up because, oh, the sprout isn't looking like the sprout up. Or sometimes it comes in the vision, oh, it's always something. Or, oh, because I got to the top of something, now I'm at the bottom of the next. But look how far you spread out and grown. Okay, let's just take myself, for example. Vitamin D started what? About almost 14 years ago? Underneath a comforter in New York? See, then I was underneath a Marshall's comforter with my Samsung microphone with my PowerBook G4. Now I'm in Sherman Oaks, California, Vitamin D in Studio E. Now I can get caught up because I said, well, damn, Dawn, we started out there. Then we went over to Accelerated Radio. Then we worked with the Steve Harvey Morning Show. Then I started to do my podcast, then got on the FM dial. And now I'm back in Studio E. See, what I thought was the top of the mountain was perhaps the bottom of the next, but it's not there so we can be distracted. And the reason why, this is another quote that I got from Joel Osteen. He says, human nature says, when I see it, I'll believe it. But faith says, I'll believe it, then I'll see it. What happened to the vision? So I say that to you, what's happening with your vision? Don't let what you see make you forget what God said. Now, for those who may not be water walkers and water rollers, those who are believing in outside power, what about the God inside of you? What about whatever that voice is, that gumption that says that if you can do it, you can do it? What do you say to that voice? Are you listening to that voice? Are you making room for that voice? These are the things that I say to myself, and a lot of that has to deal with your vulnerability. What you're willing to share of yourself with yourself, not necessarily broadcasting to other people, but how real are you ready to be real with yourself? Because you said that you want more. So why are you complaining? Why are you asking so lackadaisical about it? Why are you not moving in diligence? Why don't you have consistency? The formula is you can't fail if you don't quit. So have you decided to quit? Have you decided to acknowledge gratitude? Because gratitude is everything. The more grateful we are, the more things we have to be grateful for. So I just got to know, are you ready to get serious about your life? Because we're here for a good time, not a long time. And we got to make it count. Don't think it's a mistake while I'm always saying, get excited about your life. Don't think that it's a mistake while I always say, you are your greatest asset. Because how you doing and what are you doing to check in with yourself, not somebody else? Remember, we got the blinders on. We got the earplugs in our ear. What are you doing to run your lane in your race? Because everything that you had in regards to the vision for your life was already instilled inside of you. So stop playing with me. Stop playing with yourself. Stop judging yourself. Make room for yourself. Why don't you go out there and be yourself? I say this to you as I say this to me. Gratitude is everything. The more grateful we are, the more things we have to be grateful for. So now on this check-in, I'm coming in to say, we're at the top of one mountain and now we're climbing up the next. We're reversing things. Teams have changed. We're figuring things out. We're getting loosey-goosey. I mean, let's just think about it. Usually when I'm coming in to check in, like I said, when I started out, I'll be like, I'm in the closet. I'm coming to you in the closet. But I said that damn Dawn Dai, Vitamin D, at Studio E. We here, baby. Do you see how that's growth? So now I realize, and I want to accent with you that you realize that keep putting one foot in front of the other. It changes things, but guess what? You ask for a new thing. You ask to grow. You ask for muscles to be flexed. You know, just like I was talking to my girlfriend that I told you is dealing with her mom and Alzheimer's. She's been my friend since what? Freshman year in high school? No, sophomore year in high school. And that's probably saying a lot. I don't know. I didn't say her name, but I'm just saying everybody's going through something. And, you know, she's just like, Dawn, I'm tired. I'm just trying to figure this out. And I'm just like, listen, one foot in the front of the other, sis. I just told her how I'm looking at her and I see how she's glowing and I see how she's growing. Just how different things are top of mind and how we're moving in priorities and how she's taking upon more responsibility. And what that looks like is the direction in which she's going in her life, she's getting it. Because what do they say? Life is the greatest teacher because sometimes you take the test before you learn the lesson. Imagine that. You trying to learn something. And they say, hey, you got to get through it to get to it. You know, they say sometimes you got to break in order to break through. I don't know if you're ready to catch it because that's why they say you got to turn a negative into a positive picture. That's why they say when you break all the pieces together, what are you using to build up again? Why do you think they say that the setback is for the setup for the comeback? Because sometimes, baby, perhaps the foundation isn't set how we want it to be set. And we get so caught up in our ego that we don't even realize that we don't have the proper footing to do what it is that we said that we want to do. But yet you so caught up because what? Where you located. But like I say, your location is not your destination. You so caught up that you don't even realize, like, perhaps I need to go back to the basics. Perhaps I just got to get my footing in. Perhaps my roots got a little bit more deeper because how high and how far I'm willing to grow, well, I got to be able to hold it. Oftentimes we have these great dreams and we don't realize or really take in consideration as to whether or not we have the capacity to hold it. You just want it. But do you realize that there's a certain muscle? Do you realize there's a certain endurance? Do you realize that you must go through a bit of sweat equity in order to endure it? You better catch it. What's the sense of having your dreams in your hand and it falls right through your fingers? It's just like you trying to hold on to some water or perhaps some sand. You got it in for a second, but it keeps falling. But get back to the basics. Add some water, add some other material to make it solid. Add some little dirt on it. Get some little funk on your name. Because perhaps that'll show you how important gratitude is. They say gratitude is everything. The more grateful we are, the more things we have to be grateful for. Are you grateful for who you are? Are you grateful for the vision that you have? Are you grateful that you have this dream, that you have these aspirations for a better life that you're living right now? Or are you getting frustrated because you say, I don't have it right now? Well, then I have to ask you, what do you want? Because timing is everything. And that timing is going to require you to put in a certain amount of sweat equity because dreams don't work unless you do. And you can't get distracted. The only time that you're probably getting dismayed is again because you're checking out somebody else's lane. So what's up? What do you really want? Are you ready to show up as you are? Are you ready to tap into your true potential? Are you ready to step into your authenticity? Again, I say this to you as I say this to me. We're here for a good time, not a long time. So we need to make this count. Need to make this count for ourselves, but for every person that's coming behind us, because as we realize we lift, as we climb, we are somebody else's victory story. So what does your story say about you? If we got so caught up on the location being the destination, perhaps we would miss the whole idea of when it all is our time to go. And we look at the tombstone or it's acknowledged the date that we were born and the date that we exited the earth, that we will forget about the importance is what happened with the dash. Because that's what we live life. That's what they say the journey is the experience and the experience is the journey. So what are you experiencing? Again, allow the grass to go beneath your feet. You moving so fast that you don't even realize you're running in circles and knocking your head off. Huh? Because sometimes the setback is a setup for the comeback. Huh? Because sometimes that you got to say, I got to believe it before I'll see it. Because sometimes you can't just practice what you preach, but you got to actually preach what you practice. They say life and death are in the power of the tongue. So how are you speaking life over yourself? Again, these are the things that I say to yourself. And as I'm reminded, it's vitamin D and Studio E. So as we do an update on what's going on, I've been going live on social media. And so now we're back in the studio. Thank you, God, because I remember that day when I was underneath the comforter. Thank you, God, because I remember when I was doing the check-ins from the closet. I'm in the closet because I just hadn't got a chance to get back in the studio, but I'm here now. And I'm grateful for that because greater is coming. And as we are working out our flows, we coming back bigger and stronger because you can't fail if you don't quit. Because the top of the mountain is the bottom of the next, but you asked to grow. You asked to be more. You said you wanted exceedingly abundantly, far more than what you could ever imagine. So don't try to imagine that you thought this was it and everything was about to be perfect. No, remember the journey is the experience and the experience is the journey. How does that say to you? And, well, I used to say we're here for a good time, not a long time, but I plan to be on these airways for a long time. And I've always said this even before the F and dial. I was like, I got to get comfortable in the now, get comfortable in what I'm doing, because when it's time to launch, when it's time to take off, I've refined myself. And the same with you. When it's time to take off and to launch whatever it is you're doing, you'll be able to flow with it and understanding the importance of timing. But you can't fail if you don't quit. So you better not quit. You better keep going. You better keep going 1 foot in front of the other. That's what we're doing. 1 foot in front of the other. And because I'm allowing the grass to grow beneath my feet, I'm not going to get frustrated and say, oh, I'm not doing the live here, because some things are working behind the scenes. We're coming and we're growing. So I'm going to figure out how we're going to do, but maybe we'll give another check-in before I head out. And when I say head out, I'm going on vacation for a bit. But listen, I got some quick doses up for you to still get your inspiration. I'm going to be talking about some lyrics of some popular music and get you excited. So believe me, I'm not going to leave you without your vitamin D. But as far as our check-ins and our conversations, we're going to take some time with that because we're mixing it together. So that's me wanting to check in with you. That's me saying how gratitude is everything. How vulnerability is our greatest source of power. How you got to preach what you practice. How you got to believe it before you see it. How you can't fail if you don't quit. How you deserve your best life as you are, who you are right now. All right, this is what we're here to housekeeping, ding, ding, ding. But I'm going to get out of this studio. Yes, vitamin D is Studio E. Oh my gosh, what I said. But I want to let you know that if you haven't already, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Tell somebody else that that damn Dawn Dai got a podcast and it's entitled Vitamin D with Dawn Dai. And if you felt inspired, if you felt like there was a message or something that somebody could have got from something, can you share it with somebody else? Can you sow this seed into somebody else? Can you sow this seed in what we doing? Because I told you, I'm going to be bigger than Oprah. And also, I'll be working on getting some clips together just to make sure that you stay engaged with some previous conversations or past conversations that we did. And in order for you to keep abreast, make sure you check out VitaminDDawnDai on all social media. And also, if you have an idea about a topic, you want to send information about some news articles or just a discussion that you're like, Dawn, we need to shed some light on this, go ahead and send me an email, VitaminD@DawnDaiSpeaks.com. And of course, if you want the original source of vitamin D, baby, that be me. Well, you can follow me on all social media at Dawn Dai Speaks. All right. Now, I done said the damn housekeeping was here and I'm still talking. Okay, let me get out the studio. Remember, you know I always say I'm in the business of making dreams come true. And I damn sure ain't gonna forget about mine. So until next time, always remember, you are your greatest asset.
Get your vitamin D right here with me and get excited about